Synonymous. What's the second one we talked about?
Antithetical.
Antithetical. Someone turn to Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5. Someone read verse 1 for me.
My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Listen well to my words of insight.
Stop right there. What is kind of parallelism? Is that parallelism? What you think?
Synonymous.
Synonymous? How many of y'all say synonymous?
Well, the same.
Talking about the same thing, right?
Well, the same. Yes.
Okay. Now let's see how it is in a song. Turn to Psalm 143. Someone read verse 7.
He made known to his ways to Moses, his deeds to the people of Israel.
Oh, okay. What parallelism? What kind of parallelism is that?
Progressive.
Synthetic.
Some say progressive or synthetic. What you think? What other people think?
Which was it?
Read again.
He made known his ways to Moses, his deeds to the people of Israel.
Okay. Let's deal with the one she deal with. Then we're gonna deal with Psalm 143.
What's the reference? Can you repeat the reference again?
We're gonna what reference did you read, sister?
103, 7th verse.
Okay, we're gonna deal with that one. Then we're gonna deal with 143. Let's do it because that's a good one. Look at 103. I think I don't know what happened because that wasn't actually in my notes. So I don't know what happened. Psalm 103 verse 1.
103.
103 verse 1.
Synonymous. Very, very good.
103.
103?
1.
Y'all Psalm 103?
Praise the Lord, O my soul, all my inmost being, praise his holy name.
Keep going.
Praise the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits.
Okay. What you think on that one? Verse 2.
Same stanza. It's one stanza.
Yeah, what kind of parallelism do you think it is? Or is it? Verse 2. What you think?
Progressive.
Progressive? Okay, good. Good. So now we notice that lines make up what?
Why should
Two or more lines make up what?
stanza?
Stanza.
Strophe, right?
Two or more.
Two or more strophes make up a stanza, right? Now, does anybody have a favorite? We're gonna do a exercise. Does anyone have besides Psalm 23, does anybody have a favorite song or a song that you like?
Psalm 103, 123.
Psalm 123? Let's turn to Psalm 123. 123 you said? Okay, now, let's turn there, Psalm 123. What I'm going to do is, we're going to do a little assignment. Psalm 123. Here's what we're going to do. I want y'all to read through that a couple of times, the entirety of the Psalm, and what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can break it down. We're going to break it down. First of all, we're going to look at it as an entire stanza, and then we're going to see if we can break it down into strophes. Now, a strophe is two or more verses.
Carrying the same idea.
Right? So what I'm going to do is, here's what I usually do. What I do is I go, so I can work with the passage. That's what I do. Let's do ESV. That's what your version I use, right? Let's go to Psalm 123. And here's what I do, because I'll make myself a working document, right? So I cut and paste. It's just 4 verses?
Yeah.
Wow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it to Word. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up a Word document for me. Now you can just copy and paste it. Whatever software you have, you can just copy and paste it into a document. That way you can study it, right? My computer's slow, y'all. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it big where y'all can see it. Is that big enough for you? You'll need this. Yeah. Just a little bit bigger. There's only 4 verses. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's say I'm going to use, okay. Now let's get rid of the heading and let's just go down here to Psalm proper. Okay? Now I want you to spend some time. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to read through that. And I want you to read trying to discern some kind of structure, some kind of ideas or themes that you have, and see if there is anything, is there a change, if you will? Okay? Okay, we're at Psalm 123.
We need to find it.
Okay, first question. You ready? First thing we're going to do, we'll do any kind of song. Let's say we're going to preach this. Let's say you get invited to some church and say, Mr. So-and-so, we want you to preach on Psalm 23.
120.
So no problem, because I just got through with a seminar, a workshop, a conference on how to preach songs. And Dr. Fuller told us the first thing that I need to do is do what? What's the first thing you do when you sit down with a song? Type. What type is this? What's the classification? Is it a hymn? No. Is it a song of praise?
Descriptive?
No. Is it declarative praise?
Yes.
How many say yes?
Not descriptive praise.
Or do you say it's descriptive? Tell me why you say descriptive, man. What are our options? What are our options on type?
What?
What are our options?
Lament.
A lament and praise, descriptive or declarative, right? Which one is this?
Descriptive. Sorry, declarative.
Declarative. I
They were
lift up
already
my
declared.
voice.
Huh? What feel do you get from this?
He's declaring his faith on God.
Okay.
It's a lament.
Anybody believe?
Lament.
How many of y'all believe it's a lament?
It's a prayer.
It's a prayer.
It's a prayer. Now, we ain't got the headings yet.
Yeah. I think it is
We're going to get the headings probably in the morning.
a ascent.
Yes.
It sings.
A song of ascent.
Song of Ascent.
Okay. It's a song of ascent. Now, if you had to wrestle with this, what would you classify? How would you classify it?
It's mixed.
We have Dr. Allman here that's an expert. He may be able to help us out on this one. Psalm 123. Who's going to be able to give a good defense? Some people say, how many of y'all say lament? Lament. How many of y'all say praise? You say descriptive? Or how do you say, I don't know? So, Dr. Allman, do you have any advice for us on how to discern? We're in the quagmire.
It looks both lament and
Lament, it's a petition.
descriptive.
So the mix.
Mix.
Yes.
What do you say, man?
So in lament, it's a petition.
I would, because of verse 3, I'd count it as a petitionary psalm, which puts it in the realm of the lament,
Yeah.
but it's a confident petition.
Yeah. So it seems like it's so get tricky. Why don't you pick this tricky one for us? Right? Now let's see if we can discern some kind of structure to it, right? So it's a petitionary. Let's say this petitionary, right? Which means as a lament. Now, if it's a lament, remember the generic structure of lament. It has those elements. You got to go back to Dr. Alma's notes on my notes on the lament. It has certain elements there.
Oh Lord.
Oh God, oh Lord, oh Lord.
Okay?
Address.
I, my
You have the address, right? What else?
confession
Confession.
of petitions
Ah.
praise.
Does it have those elements in it?
Yes, petition.
Now, what you can do is, particularly with lament, there's two ways you can handle the structure of a basic lament, which has the vow, the petition, and stuff like that. Or you can deal with the structure we're going to talk about, and we're going to try to discern another structure. Now, does it seem like there's any theme? Let me read to you out loud this song. I'm reading from the ESV. It says, "To you I lift up my eyes, O you who are enthroned in the heavens. Behold, as the eyes of the servants look to the hand of the master, as the eyes of a maidservant to the hand of her mistress, so our eyes look to the Lord our God, till he has mercy on us. Have mercy upon us, O Lord. Have mercy upon us, for we have had more than enough of contempt. Our soul has had more than enough of the scorn of those who are at ease, at the contempt of the proud." This is an interesting song, isn't it? Right? Do you think there's just one major idea going all the way through it? What do you think? If I were to say, what do you think the main idea of this song is?
Seeking for help.
God's mercy.
Seeking for help. Yeah,
Or
God's
help,
help.
or something like that.
Okay. What is he seeking?
Is God's mercy or help?
Help.
Yeah. Have mercy upon us. So this whole thing is about what?
I think verse 3 is giving that a clue. This is in the contemplation, contempt, for we are exceedingly filled with contempt. So seeking for mercy or help.
Yes.
So this is sort of the central idea, isn't it? Right? Okay. Now, Dr. Aubrey, you're not gonna deal with chiastic structures, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are you not? Okay. Let's talk about this. It seems like this whole thing is focused on
Third verse.
third verse, right? So this whole thing is this lament, right? It's sort of focused on this idea of mercy, right? So now, look at his petition,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
His prayer. Okay? That's the first one. Is there any other part of a lament? Now we're going to notice that in verse 2, and Dr. Allen will deal with this tomorrow, we're going to deal with it as well. Y'all see this? As the eyes of the servants, as the eyes of a maidservant.
Yes.
Now you'll notice that is,
Parallels.
oh, what about this? We had discussed it, so you may not know specifically what I'm talking about. What about this? As the eyes of a servant, as the eyes of a maidservant.
Simile.
Simile.
Yes.
We're going to get into figure of speech
Yes.
tomorrow. Because here's what we got to do. After we define
Figure of speech.
the type, and after we discern the structure, we're going to dissect the images. And we're going to talk about how poetry creates an image in your mind. Through metaphor, through simile, through other things we're going to talk about tomorrow. But as soon as you see this, as that's a simile, that's a comparison. Assembly is a comparison using like or as. Like a deer pants after the water brook, so does my soul pant after thee. So the question is, when you see assembly, as the eyes of servants look to the hand of the master, as the eyes of a maidservant to the hand of her mistress. Right? When you study this, if you're trying to do an exegesis of this, we're gonna get to decide the questions. But what's the question that's gonna immediately come to your mind?
Why is compared with this?
Why does he make that comparison, right? Even at another level was important.
How is related with the petition?
What's that? How's it related to the petition?
It shows the intensity of that.
Oh, the intensity of that, right? Okay. What's a more general question?
How the maidservant looks.
Yes. The question is, how does, he says, behold, as the eyes of a servant look to the hand of their master. Question is, and we're going to get to this, who, what, where, when, how, what, why. How does that happen? How does a servant look to the hand of the master? For what? Mercy?
Help.
Command.
Help?
Instruction.
Now, here's the thing.
Something should.
We're going to talk about bombarding it with questions. Right? Now, our thing is just to ask questions of the text. We're going to deal with that a lot tomorrow. But, right, I need to know is, how does it happen? I may not know. Right? I'm going to assume I don't know. I'm not going to say, oh, well, this means this. We're not talking about that right now. We're going to study it. When we talk about dialoguing with the sources, we're going to talk about this idea, the eyes of the servants and the eyes of the maidservants. Right? Okay? They're looking to their master or their mistress for something. Okay? And he says, so our eyes look to who?
Lord.
Our God. Right? But he gives a duration till when?
He has mercy upon us.
Okay? So now what you're going to do is you're going to see this petition, right? Then he gives a comparison, right? Then he asks, have mercy upon us, O Lord, have mercy upon us, for we have had more than enough contempt. Our soul has made more than enough of the scorn of those who are at ease. Those are very, very real questions. Now, we decided there was a psalm of lament, right? So it's going to have certain characteristics, right? So now, you can break it up in certain ways. Now, let's look at another psalm, okay? And we're going to work through this psalm just for another structure. Who has another song that they like? Do y'all want an easy one? Which one? 007? What'd you say? Psalm 100? 100. Turn to Psalm 100. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that when it comes to preaching, there are some songs that may have a interesting structure. And that structure may be what we call inductive or deductive. Now let me tell you what I mean by that. When I talk about deductive, right, sometimes the main thing that he's talking about is up front. He sort of fronts the idea. he states it. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his
benefits.
And then he lists the benefits, doesn't he? Right? So the idea is up front, and then he sort of develops that idea throughout the psalm, right? Sometimes, though, it has an inductive structure. In other words, he begins to talk about these different things, right? And then he may give you a major idea at the bottom.
Thematic.
Okay? So now let's look at Psalm 100. Okay? Now the heading sort of gives us, in this ESV, gives us a pretty good idea of what he's talking about. What does the heading say?
Psalm for thanks.
Okay. Now, let's see if we can discern some kind of structure. Okay? Y'all read through Psalm 1. Someone read it out loud, please.
Make a joyful shout to the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who has made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Be thankful to him, and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures to all generations.
Okay. Now, you see discerning kind of structure to this? Now, write this down somewhere on your paper, on your tablet, wherever it is. I want you to take a look at all the verbs. The verbs. What's the first one?
Shout.
Make.
Right? Or someone say shout, right?
Yes.
Shout, worship, come,
So, shout, serve,
Serve.
come,
enter,
no,
No. Enter.
has made,
enter, yes.
Verse 2, come on, since there.
verse 2,
Come,
Come or enter.
verse
Others
3
say.
has made,
Yeah. Fourth was enter.
verse 4 enter,
Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Endures forever. Praise his name.
enter his
What? Oh, bless his, praise his name. Four says praise his name on some versions.
Praise.
Praise his name.
Okay. Now, what do you notice about 1 through 4 that's different than verse 5?
Conclusion.
Was that?
It's deductive.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
It is deductive in nature.
inductive.
Connected?
Sorry, it's
It's
inductive.
inductive.
In verse 5?
Yes,
It's a conclusion.
it's a conclusion.
Ah. What is it concluding?
The Lord is
The
good.
Lord is good. His loving kindness is everlasting.
Okay. Now, would you say that that is deductive or inductive?
Inductive.
Okay, so now what is it? So it's inductive, which means the main idea,
Main idea is
right, or explanatory. Is verse 5 giving us the reason of verses 1 through 4?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Right? So if our response is the Lord is what?
Good.
And his,
Loving kindness.
Steadfast.
so God is all this stuff about God. Now, according to verse 1 through 4, what should our response be?
Make a joyful noise.
We should praise Him.
We should serve the Lord.
Yeah.
What else should we do?
Worship. We should
Serve the Lord.
serve the Lord.
What else should we do?
Come to His presence.
What else should we do?
Know the Lord. Know the Lord.
Okay?
Enter His
Enter
gates.
His gates.
Give thanks.
Give thanks. Come to His presence.
Okay? And ultimate conclusion is this.
For the Lord.
He's
Why
He's good.
should I make why should I make a joyful noise or shout unto the Lord?
He's faithful.
Why should I serve him with gladness?
It's good.
Because He's good.
Why should I, what else? Know that he's good and he's made us. Right? Why should I enter into his gates with thanksgiving? Why should I be thankful unto him?
His love endures forever.
Yeah. Now, does he tell us? Is it even embedded, even more? What kind of shout should it be?
Joyful.
What kind of serving should it be?
Gladness. With gladness.
Now, here's what happens in America. I don't know if it happens here in India. But many people serve. I don't know if this happens in your church, brother. Many people serve, but they don't serve with gladness. Does that happen here in India? Here's what happens in the States. They serve, but they may serve with sadness. Do you know of anybody that serves you, but serves you with like, oh, I'll do it. You know what I know about here in India? I was thinking about this morning, Dr. They treat me like I'm a king here. They always serve me, and they serve with a smile on their face. Right? Take some more rice, some more of this, some more of this. Right? But I'd have a problem if they serve me and they, do you want some more of this? Here's this tea. Do you want this tea?
Even if you are hungry, you will not feel like it.
That's right. And some people don't only serve God with they don't serve with glad, they serve with sadness. And believe it or not, some people serve him with madness. Oh, I gotta go up here and I gotta do this for the Lord. Like it's a burden. But if you understand that the Lord is good and his mercy is everlasting and his truth endureth to all generations, you ought to serve him not with madness or sadness, but serve him with gladness. Because he's that good to you. If you're thankful unto him. You see? Okay? So now, here's the thing. After we, first of all, determine the type, next thing, we're going to discern some kind of structure, because that's going to be inevitably, that's going to lead to how we're going to ultimately put our exegetical outline together. That's how we're going to think through the text. That's ultimately going to be the main divisions of our sermon. Y'all with me so far? See, in America we call it a method to our madness. You ever heard, you know what that means? Method. When I say that there's a method to my madness, that means that there's a reason why I'm telling you to do things. I'm just not doing it because I don't have anything else to do and I just have to fill out my PowerPoint. I'm doing it because I'm trying to lead you to a certain place, right? Because the text, when we talk about a text-driven sermon, is a text-driven sermon means that the text drives the sermon, not the audience, right? Not what you heard on the radio the other day, and you decide that you want to preach it. Not what your cousin says, but what the text is actually meaning that's going to drive it. Well, what does text-driven preaching entail? We'll talk about this when we get to this Thursday. Text-driven sermon is consistent, number one, with the substance of the text. In other words, your sermon lines up with the substance of the text, right? Okay? So if I say something like this, when I talk about Psalm 100, and I say the whole substance is being thankful. If I say, you need to make a joyful noise and serve with gladness, come before his presence with singing, know ye that the Lord, he is God, is he that has made us and not we ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you need to pay your tithe. You see how this is inconsistent? That's why you need to do this and you need to do that. No, that's not what the substance of the text is. A text-driven sermon is consistent with the substance, the structure, right? And Timothy, you're going to learn this when you come to Southwestern about text-driven sermons. The substance, the spirit, and the structure of the text, right? That's with genre-sensitive sermons, right? Okay. So now, after we define the type, after we discern the structure, right? And we're going to,
Describe the occasion.
We're going to describe the occasion. And Dr. Almond talked about headings. Right, so I'm not going to reiterate some of the stuff. But in the headings, we get a couple of things, don't we? Number one, we get authorship. Right? Who is this person that either wrote it or is written on behalf of someone? Right? And he talked about that song, the Song of Solomon, the Psalm of Solomon, or of David. Then we have the distinctions, right? Okay, either David written or written on his behalf, right? So you have different authors. By the way, would that be important to know? Is authorship important?
Yes.
Right? How can that help you in your preaching? Or can it? Can it be a good point of identification? Maybe what the psalmist is going through or dealing with? Maybe something that you're dealing with? For example, how many of you have ever how many of you have ever read Psalm 73? Someone turn to Psalm 73. Now, someone loud and clear, I want you to read verses 1 through 16. Psalm 73, 1 through 16. Anybody?
Okay.
73, 1 through 16. Out loud. Somebody read it out loud, please. You can read it from your Bible. You're not reading from the screen.
Truly God is good to Israel, to such as are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. For I was envious of the boastful when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no pangs in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, nor are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride serves as their necklace, Violence covers them like a garment. Their eyes bulge with abundance. They have more than heart could wish. They scoff and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walks through the earth. Therefore, his people turn here, and waters of a full cup are drained by them. And they say, how does God know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who are always at ease. They increase in riches. Surely I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocence. Up to 13? 16. Okay. For all day long I have been plagued and chastened every morning. If I had said, I will speak thus, behold, I would have been untrue to the generations of your children. When I thought how to understand this, it was too painful for me.
Stop right there. Now, who's the author of this? Now, let me mention this. Who is Asaph?
It's one of the members of the quiet team of our David.
Yeah.
The sons of Korah.
Yes.
He's son of who?
Korah and Babu.
Korah? Okay. And what else about him? David?
What's that?
What else are you saying?
No, I said that he's the quiet member of David. No, when David was writing, there is a choir. He is one of the members.
Wow.
Asaph.
Now, in order for me to get into this text, isn't it interesting? What do you want to start studying? A little bit about this guy? What's this guy struggling with in those verses? What's the struggle?
He's envious. He's envious by looking at the wicked people prospering.
Oh, so he has a wicked people prospering, right? And the problems of the righteous,
Increase.
the prosperity of the wicked,
The problems of the righteous.
and the problems of the righteous, right? Now, how many of you all be honest with me and say, you know what, sometimes I have that same struggle. Why is it that there's some people, man, they don't go to church, they don't even claim to know the Lord. Matter of fact, they brag about not going to church and how I'm pulling myself up by my own bootstraps. I'm a self-made man. I mean, they're arrogant. Y'all know anybody like that? That don't know the Lord? And seem like financially they're doing well? While you go to church, they're relaxing at home. You know, in America, they're going out, just doing things all on Sunday, no problem, and you just going to church. You know, you ever had that? Will you be honest, sometimes you feel like that? Do you feel like Asaph sometimes?
Most of the times.
Most of the time. Now, let me ask you this. The little we know about Asaph, is he a person that comes to church every now and then? Is he a person that comes just on first Sunday to take communion or whatever, and that's about it? And you don't see him anymore.
It's a choir leader.
So how active is he
But
in worship or in the temple? He's pretty active?
Yes.
Yeah, he's active.
Do you think he's in ministry?
Yes, he's the minister.
worship ministry.
And do you think that he deals with people in ministry all the time? And you know, He's been involved pretty deeply. And it's a struggle. See, the good thing about, remember we talked about that not only the theology of the Psalms, but the anthropology of the Psalms, being to see where a man is as high as and as low as it. For the first 15 verses, he's laying out his struggle. Look what he says. Look at what he says about the wicked. He said, I was what? Verse 2. I was envious of the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked.
Malice.
For they have no pains until death. Their bodies are fat and sleek. It means they're not going hungry. They probably look like me. Right? Eating all that. He said they're not in trouble as others are. They're not stricken like the rest of mankind. Therefore, they're what?
The prides,
Yeah, they're prideful.
violent.
Violence. Their eyes swell to the fatness, their hearts overflow with foolishness. They scoff and speak with malice. Loftily they threaten oppression. They set their mouths against the heavens, and their tongue struts through the earth. All these are different. If we were to preach this, we talk about all of this imagery, right? Okay, the bodies are fat and sleek. That's imagery, right? The pride is their necklace. That's imagery. Violence covers them as a garment. That's imagery. Their eyes swell. See that? That's a metaphor. Okay? Their hearts overflow. See the metaphor? Okay. They set their mouths. How do you set your mouth?
Speaking against.
Yeah. They speak their mouth against who?
Heavens,
Heavens.
against God.
Does that mean the sky?
No,
No.
no.
About God.
Yes.
They speak
Against God.
against
Okay.
God, yes.
Let me ask you a question. How does a tongue strut? Right? What is it? What image do y'all know what we mean by strut?
Curse.
You know what strut is? It's a way a person walks. Have you ever seen an arrogant person walk?
Yeah.
Like they're big, we call it big stuff. They just strut like, he said that's what a person's tongue does. How can a tongue strut? What is tongue? We can talk about what tongue may be a metaphor of. Speech.
Yes.
Right?
Vocabulary.
Okay? So therefore his people turn back to them and find no fault in them. And they say, how can God know? Is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are wicked, always at ease. They increase in riches. All in vain have I kept my heart clean and washed my hands in innocence. Never doing any sacrifice. I kept my life pure. And he's struggling with that. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about now authorship and how because Asaph is not just a person that comes to church every now and then. This is a person.
It's deeply involved.
He's involved. If he's a praise leader, right? If he's a Levitical priest, right? And you got to do research. We're going to talk about that when we get Thursday. We'll talk about dialoguing with the sources. Probably this afternoon. Talk about dialoguing with the sources. We're going to research what we know about Asaph. So we get some insight, right?
Descendant of Gershom.
Huh?
Descendant of Gershom, Levitical.
Yeah. Now, who is Gershom?
Moses.
He's one of the sons of who?
Levi.
Okay, you have the Gershonites, and you also have the Kohathites,
Kohatites.
right? What were they responsible for in Leviticus? Remember?
Tabernacle.
They were responsible for the tabernacle, right? And some were responsible for, the Kohathites were responsible for particularly the Ark of the Covenant. Yes. Right? So this person is pretty involved. Right? And you can get into a struggle. So an occasion can help. Those headings can give some good insight. And Dr. Arnold dealt with all of this stuff earlier this morning about the authenticity of those headings, right? Because there could be a wealth of information to you. Don't just read by them, right? Read them and use that as a basis for understanding the song. Okay? Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to, first thing is we define the type. Second thing is, after we define the type, we what? Discern the structure. If there's any structure, right? Okay. So like the structure will end in verse 17, right? So we got 1 through 17, then we'll go 18 on and find another section. Okay? Now, after we describe the occasion, next thing I want you to do is
Decide on the questions.
decide on the questions. Now, this is going to be pretty, this is where you're going to have to work through some stuff, and you're going to have a chance to do this tomorrow. By the way, did I assign anybody a song?
Pardon?
Did I assign y'all a song? No? What I did with the group in Bizag, I gave each person a song, and I want them to work through this song, through the different stages of the song. Okay? What I want you to do, I want you to pick, I'm gonna allow you to do it. Right? Here are the songs that are going to be off limits. No Psalm 23. No Psalm 100. So we just did that. Right? And Dr. Arnold's going to be dealing with Psalm 1, so we're going to leave that off limits. You're going to deal with Psalm 1, aren't you?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. So that's going to be off limits. What I want you to do, I want you tonight, okay, I want you to select a song. Something that's short. Don't get a big one. Select a song, and what we're going to do, we're going to walk through this process, right? And then, here's the thing. How many of y'all are pastors? Wow. Okay? Now here's the thing. If you follow this methodology, by Friday at 4, we're closing at 4, right? Friday at 4, you can have almost a whole sermon. Or the skeleton, the skeleton of it. You got to put some flesh on it. We're not going to get a chance to walk through everything. But you will walk through each stage, and each stage is going to build upon one another. So I need to make sure that you find one tonight. Okay? So tomorrow, and I want you to, after you find one tonight, this is what I want you to do. I want you to do the first 2 steps. I want you to determine the type and discern the structure. That's all I want you to do. To lament, if it's praise, declarative, descriptive, right? I want you to determine that. So read through it. Here's the thing. You can't just read through it one time. You have to read through it several times. Get your notes out about a lament. Get your notes out about praise. Get your notes out and say, okay, am I seeing these elements? And then after after you're clear, right, on the definition, I want you to see if you discern any kind of structure. How is it sort of written? Look at the verses and the parallelism, stuff like that. See if you start see how you see the psalm sort of taking shape, right? Are there any ideas, major ideas that come from that? You got to sort of rethink in how you approach it, right? Okay. So I want you to sort of think about that. So, number one, select the psalm. Okay. Any questions about that? What are the ones that are off limits? Which ones can you not select? Psalm what? 23, 100,
51.
51.
51. Psalm 51.
You said no 51?
Here in this class, we didn't do it, that 51.
Oh, y'all did it?
Maybe we talked about last class.
Okay.
Class.
Okay.
First session we finished.
So no 51,
Yes.
23, 51, 100, and 73.
73.
Okay, y'all got that? 23, 50, 73, and 100. Okay? Right? Anything else you can select. Now, what are you supposed to do? Okay, you selected. What are you going to do after that?
Type of the song.
Tell me what type it is. Now, here's the thing. I may just call somebody and say, hey, Pearsall Posey, what's your song? Oh, I'm Psalm 51. I said, I told you, don't take. No, you say, I'm Psalm 29. Okay? I say, ladies and gentlemen, turn to Psalm 29. Say, Pearsall, tell me what type. Right? Or it's a lament. Okay, tell me why. Because it has the elements of a lament. Right? Cry out the petition, vow of praise. Right? Okay. So what I want you to do, I want you to think through it. Right? I say, let me ask you this. Who's the author? If there is one. Who's it ascribed to?
Not mentioned.
If not mentioned, I want you to tell me what it'll say. Right? Okay. What is your assignment tonight?
Select
Select a song. What else is it? Determine the
Type.
define the type. And 3, I want you to
design the structure.
see if you see any structure. And here's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to talk about dissecting the images. Okay. We'll spend a lot of time on that. When are you going to get to metaphors and figures of speech?
Tomorrow morning.
Okay, good. So what we'll do is take your notes and keep them, because he's going to go a little bit more in figures of speech than I will. I'm going to just do about 4 or 5, but I want you to look at more. Okay, so we're gonna look at some passages, and then on your psalm that you selected, I want to see how many metaphors you have. Are there any similes? Are there any other kind of figures of speech? Is there personification? Is there different things? Because I want you to start looking at that. So read through it, right? And pay very close attention, okay, to what you're going to be dealing with in your song. We're going to talk about images and how they work, right? Have you ever heard this? Man, I'm as hungry as a horse. You heard that? Don't say that. Okay? Or you may say something, man, she eats like a bird. Right? Okay? Or you may say, what's some ways that you speak like in India when you compare something? Right? Young, what kind of phrase do you use? Y'all use anything like we do in America? You know, so we're gonna talk about those imageries and stuff like that. Okay? So, let me see, is there anything else we need to do before we, poem. Any questions about parallelism? No? Any questions about what we've gone through so far? Okay, someone turn to Psalm 128, we'll be done for the day. Now, I want to read through this, and y'all tell me if there is any kind of comparison. Okay? Psalm 128. How blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. When you shall eat of the fruit of your hands. Let me ask you this. Is that a metaphor? Is that a figure of speech? Is that a figure of speech? Verse 2. When you shall eat of the fruit of your hands.
Yes. Figure it.
Is it literal?
Fruit of the.
No, it's not literal.
Is that literal?
Yes.
Why is that literal?
It's not figurative.
Well, how do we know that it's figurative?
We don't wear fruits in our hands.
Hands don't produce fruit, do they?
Yes. No.
Right? So now we gotta see what that means. When you shall eat of the fruit of your hand, you will be happy and it will be well with you. Your wife shall be like a what?
Very fruitful vine.
Ah. Now you notice that is a what? Is that a figure of speech?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you gotta ask yourself, what's a fruitful vine? Why does he use that kind of language? Right? Within your house, your children shall be like
Olive plants.
olive plants. Where? Seems like I need to know a little bit about olive plants, don't I? Right? Okay. Now, so you see how you look at this stuff? How you look at it, sort of start getting your mind sort of geared towards seeing those kind of picture speech and not just parallelism, picture speech, some of these metaphors. We're going to deal more with that tomorrow. Okay? Do we have any questions? Now, since I emailed this, not emailed, but I gave a copy on thumb drive. I think I'm missing anything. Good quiz. Ready? You should have the notes up there. Name, what's the first type of parallelism? What's a parallelism? What's synonymous parallelism?
Two ideas run together parallelly.
Okay. What is, you look at your notes, by the way. What is synthetic parallelism?
Both cause and effect.
Wow. Now, did we deal with any progressive parallelism?
It's a
The idea is
description
Contrast,
about
see
the,
contrast.
Conclusion.
will be describing about the main ideas.
Wow.
Antithetic.
Let me see. Give you,
The first
before we close, let me give you this couple of examples. Okay, turn to, Psalm 80. 82. Someone read to themselves verse 3. Tell me if there's any parallelism there.
When I consider the events, the work of the fingers, the moon.
I'm sorry, it's Psalm 82, sorry about that, sorry.
82:3.
82:3.
Defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy.
Is there parallelism?
Yes.
Synonymous, right? Synonymous.
Synonymous, synthetic?
Both the sentences about the two, the same idea running into like
Synonymous?
synonymous parallel.
Okay. Let me ask you this, turn to Psalm 78, and we'll be done tonight. Psalm 78, verse 1. Verse 1.
78.
O Lord, leave me not in the wrath.
Psalm 78, verse 1.
78.
Listen, O my people, to my instructions. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth.
What you think?
J&D and
Command.
Synonymous?
Synonymous.
Good. Okay. Any questions about parallelism? I think Dr. Khammam will deal with it as well. Any questions? Or any questions on anything we talked about so far? Remember to do your song, select it, turbans tight, look at the heading, right? And see if you discern any kind of structure. And we'll go over it, we'll dig into it a little bit more tomorrow. Okay? Any questions? Any worries? Yeah, Dave.
Yes. No, you said about eisegetical. Yeah.
Yeah, exegetical.
And eisegetical. So could you explain?
Yeah, good question. Now, exegetical is what you're going to get out of the text, right? The first section we're going to be dealing with, when we deal with tomorrow, we'll get with answer the questions and stuff like that. What we're going to do is we're going to try to see what the text is meaning by a simple study of the text. So we're going to exegete it, right? Which means that we're going to do some background to find out what the text is saying, what the text means, right? Eisegesis is when you automatically bring your baggage
Into the text.
to the text. And the meaning is discerned or developed outside of the text. In other words, you say, well, we do this in America, so this is what this text means. That's eisegesis, right?
Analytical.
Huh?
Analytical.
Analytical?
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by analytical.
Taking outside examples.
Yeah. That's more, you mean eisegetical?
Yeah.
Eisegetical. That's eisegetical. Eisegete. You can either exegete a text or you can eisegete a text. Right? Okay? That's stuff you bring in and you say, man, that's not what Jesus meant when he said it, or not what Paul meant. Right? So we're gonna get to a point where we're trying to find out what Paul meant in that text. See, that's exegetical. And we'll talk more about that when we get into Wednesday. We'll get into how to properly do exegesis.
So eisegesis is application part. Only interpretation is exegesis.
Well, interpretation is exegesis. Eisegesis is a type of interpretation. But it's like if you have.
Is it reading between the lines?
No. Not quite. Let's say you have, this is your text, right? Exegesis is studying of this, and the information is going to come out through the study of the text. Right? These different ideas. Right? That's exegesis. Ex meaning out. Right? Eisegesis is when you have these ideas and you bring them into the text. Right? So, eisegesis is, these ideas are separate from the text. It's like if you were to take a passage and it's something that you do in India, right? And you say, okay, we do this in India. That means that's what this Bible passage means.
Relative examples will take.
No.
Okay.
The structure and the spirit
See,
and the theme of the text, the message, sermon must be from the text.
Okay.
That is
Not from the not from the ideas of the people.
మనం చుట్టూ ఉన్న ఆలోచనలన్నీ తీసుకెళ్ళి వాక్యంలో పెట్టి ఇదే వాక్యము అని చెప్పడం అన్నమాట.
అది relating other.
రిలేటింగ్ అంటే రాంగ్ గా రైట్ గా
you put your ideas in the text.
Okay.
Instead of deriving the idea from the text. So instead of deriving the idea from the text, you put your ideas in the text and you create a message and you present the message.
అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే
You
స్టోరీ
understand?
వాక్యం మీద పడుతుంది.
You got it?
రాంగ్ మెథడ్.
Yeah. See, that was now.
It is not how we are
Can
explaining the
use
matter.
this?
You are talking about how we are
Can
explaining.
we
No, that's
use
not what he
this
is talking about.
ICT
రాంగ్ మెథడ్ ఆఫ్
And when you guys
in the churches? during preaching?
No,
No, yes.
because we want to make sure that we have, we call it author-centered. In other words, a text can never mean what it never meant. Like Dr. Allman, okay? Let's say when you had a discussion today, right before lunch, right? And Dr. Allman was talking about 1 John 1:9. If we confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sins. What Dr. Allman is saying is, what we always believe that text to mean is a result of eisegesis rather than exegesis. In other words, we just
Exegesis is wrong.
Yeah, wrong.
Eisegesis.
Yeah, got it.
So let's just do an experiment. Turn to Matthew.
Yes, we got it, brother.
Once again, tell me.
Turn to Matthew 18. Turn to Matthew.
I have a good definition of eisegesis.
Yes.
Can I read it?
Yes.
Eisegesis is the process of interpreting text in such a way as to introduce one's own presuppositions, agendas, or biases. It is commonly referred to as reading into the text. It is often done to prove a pre-held point of consent and to provide confirmation bias corresponding with the pre-held agenda.
Yeah, that's what.
See there?
He gave the table
Wrong
example.
అయితే.
See, this is
Table example he gave, no?
Oh
Table
yeah.
example,
happening in
the
many
preoccupied
churches.
concept
Oh,
of
yeah.
how to
Yeah,
confess
this
your
is
personal sin.
See, somebody, some
Taking
నేను
pastor
అనుకున్న
wanted
దాన్ని దాని
to
మీద రుద్ది
want to
చెప్తున్నా.
convey something.
taking our opinion on the text.
Yeah.
See, he wanted to convey some kind of idea. So he takes his ideas, he selects
He took the from 17.
the related text.
There is nothing
And
like
Bible
personal
was
confession
from
in the
the
whole text. He
scriptures,
showed it.
Yeah.
and he preaches.
What text is?
And that's there, it's going on.
Yeah.
But sometimes, see, a pastor wanted to convey some message to the congregation.
అది best
You know,
ఏంటన్నా
he wanted to convey
see,
something.
some pastor, he's having some idea. He wanted to convey
preoccupied
preoccupied,
Yes,
maybe
he wanted
negative
to
thing.
want-
But sometimes, there may be some positive idea also.
Yes.
Some positive idea he must have
Yeah.
in his mind. So he wants to convey to his congregation. So sometimes, why not?
అన్న పాజిటివ్ అండ్ నెగిటివ్ ఆల్సో దే
No,
And
whatever
positive
it may be,
negative
whether
is
positive
there.
or negative, he will take some text, okay, irrespective of whether
See,
text is speaking this or not.
But
he will
occasionally,
present that.
see, my point, I'm not for that. I'm not for that. But occasionally, why not we use it?
that type of
Occasionally, I mean to say, occasionally, why not we use it? Sometimes, there is somebody, see, he wants to correct somebody else.
yes
Some
Do it personally.
member in the congregation.
Do it personally.
So he wants to convey the message.
Personally, you want to
Yeah,
correct
So,
somebody.
in order to convey the message, why not we use this method occasionally?
No, we can use it by personal.
Okay, of course.
Do it personally.
See,
but nowadays all
personally
are
is
using
also okay.
Pulpit is not the place.
Okay, let me give you an example of eisegesis.
Yes.
Turn to the Gospel of John, chapter 10. The Gospel of John, chapter 10.
Sometimes before going to preach sermon, we give some illustration to connect the people, to connect the scripture. Can we use it?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that when we get into illustrations and introductions. Because three things that an illustration does and an introduction does. Number one, it touches the text and it touches the congregation. Right? In other words, you give an illustration, shed light on a particular passage. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start saying this text says and means this, you got to make sure that's what Jesus meant when he said it.
Yes.
And that's what Paul meant when he said it. If you can't show me that that's what Paul meant or whoever wrote it, it's eisegesis. Right? Like John 10. Someone read John 10, verse 10.
The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
Stop right there. Let me ask you this, ladies and gentlemen. Who is the thief in John 10?
Satan.
How many play Satan? The devil.
Yes.
How many say the devil? It's okay. How many heard of the devil?
Wrong doctrine preachers.
Ah.
False teachers.
Now let me ask you this. Exegesis said, first of all, if you're doing an exegetical assignment, if you say that that's a devil, I'm going to say, show me. Show me through exegesis that that's the devil. Or ask you this question. Is Jesus referring to the devil?
No, he is comparing with both. Jesus himself is comparing with respect to both.
Either compared to who?
Whom he is referring when he is saying thief?
No, 8th verse, there is an answer.
I am the good shepherd.
In 8th verse, there is an
Before
answer.
that only he is saying, I am not like that.
Who is the thief?
Jesus.
Who is the thief?
8th verse, you see, there is an answer.
Yeah. All who leave before me are thieves. Yes.
Okay, now, let me show you something about exegesis. We have this bad in America, especially with the word of faith preachers, right? Or the prosperity preachers, right? And most people say, not just them, he said, the thief comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. But I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Now, here's what we got to do, David. We say that Jesus says that that's the devil or Satan. And what we got to do is we got to read the passage and see where the devil shows up. Y'all ready? Start at verse 1. True. Now, watch it. I'm going to read this with a certain way. I'm going to read this, okay? It said, truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter by the door. Now, in verse 1, it says, verily, verily, I say unto you. In other words, truly, truly, I say unto you. In other words, this is actually a continuation of something. He said, verily, verily, I say unto you, right? Remember, when you study the Bible, you got to remember there is no chapter and verse divisions. Right? People put them in there to help us sort of find the place, right? But there is no chapter and verse division, right? So in order, he's going to start talking about, he's talking to some people, right? Look what he says. Truly, truly, I say unto you, he who does not enter by the door into the fold of the sheep, but climbs some other way. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. He is a thief. Wow. So the thief shows up, this thief idea shows up before verse 10.
Yes.
Interesting. A thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he puts forth all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. A stranger they simply will not follow, but will flee from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Okay? This figure of speech Jesus spoke to them, but they did not understand what those things were which he had been saying to them. So Jesus said to them again, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me are
will be saved.
Thieves and
thieves.
Yes.
So we have a thief in verse 3 and we have a thief in verse 7. Now y'all stop me if I stop me when you hear the word the devil or Satan. Okay? Okay? All who come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters through me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pleasure. The thief comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. Wow. So is verse 3, when he talks about the thief in verse 3, is he talking about the devil? He said no. In verse 7, is he talking about the devil? No. So if he's not talking about the devil in verse 3, and he's not talking about the devil in verse 7, how can he be talking about the devil in verse 10? Right? You see what I'm saying? So we've got to ask ourselves, who is the devil? So look what it says. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who, verse 1, does not enter by the door, but climbs in is a thief and a robber. Now he's talking to somebody, isn't he?
someone who climbs in already.
Yeah. So the question is, if y'all want to teach this from the gospel, I ask myself a question. Who is Jesus talking to?
He's talking.
Look at verse 9, chapter 9. Look at verse 40. Those of the Pharisees who were with him heard these things and said to him, we are not blind too, are we? Jesus said to them, if you were blind, you would have no sin. You would have no sin. But since you say, we see, your sin remains. Truly, truly, I say unto you.
Yes.
See?
He's talking to Pharisees. Verse
9:40. You see?
9:40.
So the question is, we've always said there's a devil in heaven, David. Or there's Satan, right? But it's not to Jesus. So the question is, if we say it's Satan and it's not Satan to Jesus, where did we get it from? Eisegesis.
Nowadays, Pharisees and pastors.
Pastors are some pastors.
You see? Now remind me, have y'all heard of this before?
Don't get
Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there will I be in the midst.
Yeah.
What is that about, by the way?
Church discipline.
What have most people heard it? Here's how we use it in America. We say, if we have a church meeting or a conference or something like that, right, and nobody shows up, but 2 or 3 people, here's what happens. Brother Thompson would get on the thing and start playing. He said, that's all right, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't but 2 or 3 of us, but the Bible said, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there will I be. Stand to your feet and let's begin to praise the Lord. Right? And now, is that what Jesus is talking about? When he says where 2 or 3 are gathered?
In my name.
You see? Can we talk about either prayer or praise? Right? And if Jesus is not talking about a church meeting or low attendance at a conference, if Jesus is not talking about that, the question is, where do we get it from? Eisegesis. We're bringing our own Western philosophy or Indian philosophy into the text and saying that's what it means. You see? And we'll talk about that when we get into exegesis some more. Okay? Let me pray for you so we'll break tonight, and we'll go on see you in the morning. Father, we thank you so much for our time together studying your word. Thank you so much for these brothers and sisters that came to study your word, Lord, learn more about Psalm. So, Father, we thank you for this opportunity to get together. Now bless us and bless the rest of this conference. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
చెప్పించుకున్నా చాలా బాగా